The gym was loud in the way only serious gyms are. Metal plates slammed together. Chalk dust floated in the air. Heavy breathing, grunts of effort, mirrors filled with men built like tanks. This was a place where size mattered, where numbers mattered, where respect was earned in pounds lifted. Bruce Lee didn't belong here. At least that's what everyone thought when he walked in. He was small, lean, quiet, wearing simple training clothes, carrying a plain bag. No headphones, no show, no ego. Just calm movement and sharp eyes that took everything in. A few lifters glanced over and dismissed him instantly. Then someone laughed. A massive strength athlete, well over 300 pounds, thick neck, barrel chest, the kind of man who owned a room just by standing in it, watched Bruce warm up in the corner. Knuckle push-ups, controlled breathing, precise movement. "That's not training," the big man said loudly. "That's warming up." A few people chuckled. Bruce didn't look up. The strength athlete stood, stretching his arms, enjoying the attention. "All that speed stuff looks cool," he continued. "But it doesn't work on real strength. You need mass, power, weight." Bruce finished his movement and slowly stood. He turned, not defensive, not offended, just curious. "You believe strength is size," Bruce said calmly. The big man smiled. "I know it is." Bruce nodded. "Then let's test it." The gym went quiet, not silent, but alert. People sensed something was about to happen, and no one yet realized that in less than 9 seconds, everything they believed about power was about to collapse. The strength athlete laughed, loud and confident, the kind of laugh that expected agreement. "Test it," he said. "You want to arm wrestle? Push hands? Or you just want attention?" Bruce shook his head slowly. "None of that." People gathered closer without realizing it. A bench press stopped mid-set. Plates rested on the floor. The gym's noise drained away until only breathing remained. "I won't challenge your strength," Bruce said. "That wouldn't be honest. You are strong." The big man raised an eyebrow, surprised by the respect. "Damn right. But strength isn't the same as force," Bruce continued. "And force isn't the same as power." The athlete crossed his arms. "Sounds like excuses." Bruce smiled faintly. "That's what people say before they feel it." He stepped closer. No stance. No fists raised. No aggression. Just proximity. "Stand naturally," Bruce said. "Don't brace. Don't prepare." The strength athlete scoffed. "You think I'm scared?" "I think," Bruce replied, "you don't need to be." That landed differently. Reluctantly, the big man relaxed his shoulders, feet shoulder-width apart. He looked around, aware now of the audience. Pride wouldn't let him back out. Bruce lifted one hand and held it an inch from the man's chest. Close enough to feel warmth. Close enough to feel breath. "That's it," someone whispered. "1 inch?" another murmured. The strength athlete smirked. "You serious?" Bruce nodded. 9 seconds. "What happens in 9 seconds?" the man asked. "You learn," Bruce said. Time stretched. The gym felt smaller. Even the mirrors seemed to wait. Bruce exhaled. Nothing moved until everything did. And in the instant before impact, the strength athlete realized too late that he hadn't been challenged to a contest. He had been invited to a lesson. The exhale was barely audible. Bruce's body didn't wind up. No shoulder pull. No hip twist anyone could read. It was as if the room blinked and missed it. Impact. Not loud. Not flashy. But absolute. The strength athlete's chest compressed like air had been punched out of a tire. His breath exploded from his lungs in one violent burst. His feet slid back on the rubber floor. Knees bent. Hands dropped instinctively as his nervous system tried to make sense of what his muscles couldn't stop. 9 seconds. From confidence to confusion. He didn't fall. He didn't need to. The message arrived before gravity did. The gym froze. Someone whispered, "What just happened?" Bruce had already stepped back, posture loose, breathing calm, as if he just adjusted a mirror. The contrast was unsettling. One man perfectly balanced, the other scrambling to regain it. The strength athlete stared at Bruce, eyes wide, face pale. He tried to inhale and couldn't. Then air rushed back in, ragged and painful. Panic flickered, then faded. That, he coughed, wasn't strength. Bruce nodded. Correct. A few lifters exchanged looks. Numbers didn't explain this. Size didn't explain this. Their language failed them. What was it then? The man asked. Alignment, Bruce said quietly. Timing. No waste. The athlete shook his head, still processing. You didn't even swing. Bruce met his eyes. Why would I? Silence answered. The gym felt different now. Smaller, more honest. The mirrors no longer flattered. They reflected questions. And everyone sensed it. This wasn't over. Not yet. Because the hardest part wasn't the hit. It was what came after, when pride had to decide whether to fight the truth or learn from it. The strength athlete straightened slowly, hands on his thighs, breathing evening out. He looked around as if expecting someone to explain what just happened in a language he understood. Numbers, reps, mass. No one could. You didn't move me, he said finally, defensive reflex kicking in. I moved myself. Bruce nodded once. Exactly. That answer confused him more than the strike. Bruce stepped to the side and gestured to the floor. You were already leaning forward. Your breath was already committed. I didn't add force. I removed your support. A few lifters nodded without knowing why. Others frowned, replaying the moment in their heads. You're saying I beat myself? The big man asked. I'm saying, Bruce replied. Your body told me where it was going before you knew. The athlete rubbed his chest, not hurt, disoriented. I lift heavy because it makes me solid, he said. Nothing moves me. Bruce smiled faintly. Heavy things move the slowest when they're unbalanced. He asked the athlete to stand again, this time with no strike coming. Don't think about defense, Bruce said. Just stand. Bruce stepped in, then out, then in again, no contact. Each time, the athlete flinched. Each time, he corrected himself too late. See, Bruce said. Reaction is a debt. You're paying interest. The room leaned in. So what do you train? Someone asked. Bruce didn't answer immediately. He placed his hand an inch from the athlete's chest again, then stopped. Awareness, he said. So I don't have to be fast. The athlete let out a breath that sounded like a laugh. That's a hell of a way to say it. Bruce lowered his hand. Fast is loud, he said. Early is quiet. The strength athlete nodded slowly. The audience could see it the moment the argument ended. Not because he lost, but because he understood. The strength athlete stepped back, this time without resistance. His shoulders dropped, not in defeat, but in release. Years of certainty loosened in a few quiet seconds. I trained to explode, he said, to overpower the moment. Bruce nodded. Explosion without direction scatters. He asked two lifters to stand nearby. Watch, Bruce said, not loudly, not commandingly, just enough. Bruce faced the strength athlete again, closer now. Don't move, he instructed. Just notice. Bruce shifted his weight a fraction. The athlete reacted. Bruce didn't touch him. Again, Bruce said. Another tiny shift. Another reaction. You're moving because you think something is happening, Bruce explained. Your mind fills gaps before your body confirms. The athlete frowned. So speed is psychological. Partly, Bruce replied. But psychology follows mechanics. You can't think faster than your structure allows. He placed his fingers lightly on the athlete's forearm. You lift with constant tension, powerful but loud. Your body announces everything. The athlete swallowed. And yours? Bruce relaxed his arm completely. Mine listens. A murmur spread through the gym. This wasn't mysticism. It was anatomy, timing, cause and effect explained without theatrics. Bruce stepped back and addressed the room. If strength is your language, learn grammar, he said. If speed is your goal, remove hesitation. The athlete looked at his hands. Hands that had crushed bars and plates for years, and realized something uncomfortable. They were strong, but they were late. He looked up at Bruce. Can this be learned? Bruce met his gaze. Only if you're willing to stop being impressive for a while. That landed harder than the punch. The gym stayed quiet, not stunned, focused. Like everyone sensed a door had opened, and the question was no longer if they'd step through it, but who would. The strength athlete nodded slowly, as if agreeing with something he'd been avoiding for years. He paced once, then stopped, facing Bruce again, not as a challenger now, but as a student who didn't want to admit it yet. I've always trained to be unmovable, he said, to root myself. Bruce replied gently, roots are strong, but roots don't chase. He asked the athlete to walk toward him. No speed, no power, just a natural step. As the man moved, Bruce shifted a half step off the line. Nothing dramatic. The athlete's shoulder brushed empty air where Bruce had been. You see, Bruce said. Power commits. Awareness adjusts. The athlete tried again, slower this time. Bruce adjusted again earlier. Each attempt ended the same. Proximity without contact, effort without effect. Around them, the lifters watched with a new kind of attention. Not admiration, recognition. They'd all felt it before. The moment when effort didn't translate, when strength arrived late. Bruce stopped the drill. You train muscles, he said. Train decisions. How? The athlete asked. By removing noise, Bruce answered. Tension, ego, the need to prove. The athlete exhaled, long and honest. That's hard. Bruce smiled faintly. That's why few do it. He stepped back and motioned to the racks. Lift if you want, he said. But notice what happens before the lift. That's where your speed lives. The athlete nodded, eyes on the floor, replaying the 9 seconds again and again. Seeing now what he'd missed before the impact, before the breath left his body. He looked up. You didn't silence me, he said. You redirected me. Bruce met his eyes. Good, he replied. Silence fades. Direction lasts. The gym slowly returned to motion, but nothing felt the same. And everyone there knew. The real work had just begun. The strength athlete sat on a bench, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like it might explain something. Around him, the gym restarted in fragments. One lifter reloaded plates, another wiped chalk from his hands, but the old rhythm was gone. I've been chasing numbers, he said quietly. Bigger lifts, faster reps, heavier days. Bruce leaned against a rack, listening. Numbers are useful, he said. They're just not complete. The athlete looked up. Incomplete how? They tell you what happened, Bruce replied. Not why. Bruce asked him to stand again. This time, Bruce didn't move at all. He just watched. The athlete shifted his feet, then stilled himself, trying not to give anything away. Before you lift, Bruce said. What happens? The athlete hesitated. I brace. I tighten. I commit. Bruce nodded. Commitment is power, he said. But commitment without choice becomes prediction. He gestured lightly. Your body tells a story before your hands do. The athlete tested it. Rolled his shoulders, loosened his jaw, softened his breath. He felt exposed, almost weak. Bruce smiled. That discomfort is speed leaving your habits. The athlete laughed under his breath. You make it sound like I've been shouting this whole time. Bruce shrugged. Most people do. A lifter nearby asked, so what's the goal? Bruce answered without looking away. To arrive without being announced. The athlete closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them with a different focus. I thought being strong meant never being moved. Bruce shook his head. Being strong means choosing when to move and when not to. The athlete nodded slowly. The lesson wasn't dramatic now. No punch, no shock, just clarity settling in. He stood taller, not bigger, but steadier. And the 9 seconds? He asked. Bruce smiled faintly. That was just the introduction. The gym felt quieter now, even as the noise returned. Plates clinked. Music hummed low. But attention stayed sharp. like everyone was listening for something beneath the sound. The strength athlete moved differently. Slower, yes, but not hesitant. Intentional. He tested a simple step forward, then stopped himself mid-motion, surprised by how much he'd revealed without realizing it. "I've always trusted effort," he said. "Push harder. Commit fully." Bruce nodded. "Effort is honest," he said. "But honesty without awareness is predictable." The athlete tried again, this time relaxing his shoulders, letting his breath settle before moving. Bruce watched closely, then smiled. "Better," he said. "You didn't announce yourself." A nearby lifter asked, "So is speed useless?" Bruce shook his head. "Speed is a result," he said, "not a goal. When everything unnecessary is gone, speed appears." He demonstrated by walking across the floor. No rush, no tension. Each step landed exactly where it needed to. The room followed him without knowing why. "You don't chase openings," Bruce continued. "You let them appear." The strength athlete looked at his hands again. For the first time, they didn't feel like weapons. They felt like tools waiting for instruction. "I came in here thinking size would solve everything," he admitted. "I thought power was loud." Bruce met his gaze. "Real power is quiet," he said. "That's why people miss it." A pause settled between them. Not awkward, respectful. The athlete nodded. "If I wanted to learn this, where would I start?" Bruce answered simply, "By noticing what you do before you move, and choosing to do less." The athlete smiled, a real one this time. "That might be harder than lifting." Bruce returned the smile. "That's why it works." The gym kept moving. But something else had started, something slower, deeper. A shift that wouldn't show up on a scoreboard, but would change everything that followed. The strength athlete stayed after most people drifted back to their routines. He watched Bruce from a distance now, not studying technique, but observing behavior. The calm between movements, the absence of urgency, the way Bruce never rushed to fill silence. "I always thought confidence meant certainty," the athlete said finally. "No doubt, no hesitation." Bruce looked up. "Certainty is comfortable," he replied, "but comfort dulls perception." The athlete nodded. "When you hit me, I wasn't surprised by the force. I was surprised by how early it came." Bruce smiled faintly. "That's because you were listening for impact, not intention." They stood there, the gym lights buzzing softly overhead. The mirrors reflected two very different bodies and now two converging mindsets. "I could train this place for 20 more years," the athlete said, "and still miss that." Bruce picked up his bag. "Years don't teach," he said. "Attention does." The athlete exhaled, then laughed quietly. "So all that size, all that strength, it's not useless." "No," Bruce said. "It's unfinished." That word stayed with him, unfinished. Not broken, not wrong, just incomplete. As Bruce walked toward the door, the athlete spoke again. "If people ask what happened today," Bruce paused, hand on the handle. "Tell them you learned something in 9 seconds, he said, "and spent the rest of the day understanding it." Bruce left without ceremony. No applause, no victory pose, just the soft click of the door closing behind him. The athlete looked around the gym, at the weights, the bars, the mirrors, and saw them differently now. Tools, not answers. Means, not conclusions. He wrapped his hands with care, stepped to a barbell, and took a breath. For the first time, he noticed what happened before the lift, and smiled. Years later, when the strength athlete tells the story, he never starts with the punch. He starts with the silence. He describes a gym full of noise that suddenly felt exposed. A moment where size, numbers, and reputation stopped explaining reality. Where 9 seconds didn't just shift his body, but rewired how he understood power. Bruce Lee never challenged him, never mocked him, never tried to win anything. He showed him something and let it do the work. That lesson stayed. In competition, the athlete stopped chasing aggression. In training, he stopped bracing before he needed to. In life, he stopped announcing his intentions before acting. He learned that power doesn't come from adding more force. It comes from removing delay. Bruce Lee walked away that day exactly as he arrived. Quiet, centered, uninterested in proving anything. The room didn't remember him because he was loud. It remembered him because he was precise. 9 seconds didn't make a legend. They made a student. And that student passed the lesson on, not as a story about being humbled, but as a reminder. Strength that needs to be proven is fragile. Speed that needs to be seen is already late. And the most powerful people in the room are usually the calmest. That's what Bruce Lee left behind. Not a victory, a direction.